At last, my world domination curse is nearly complete. All I need's the final component. Skittles? That's right. I know their little secret. Such delicious flavors as grape, cherry, and green apple is just a facade for their unbridled evil. You won't get away with this, Dr. Frank! My name is Stein! You failed for the last time, Mr. Pacquiao!
I'm not Manny Pacquiao!
Farewell, Pac-Man! Impossible! Why didn't it work?
You idiot! Everybody knows that Skittles are too pure and delicious to be evil. It's M&Ms that are really evil.
Prove it then! You play video games. I want you to play all the M&M's video games.
M&Ms, the colorful chocolate candy that melts in your mouth, not in your hand. What originally began as a method of preventing chocolate from melting in the war zone has since grown and evolved into the largest and most profitable brand of candy in the entire world. The brand is so beloved that the individual colors were characterized and commercialized in the late 90s. At the same time, there was a contest for M&M's fans to decide the next color of M&M, and the winning blue color ended up illuminating the Empire State Building. So what's the next logical step after you've conquered the world of television, fan participation, and architecture? Video games, of course! The year 2000 saw the release of our first M&M's video game, M&M's Mini Madness on the Game Boy Color. It's your average side-scrolling platformer. There are multiple playable spokes candies, but from what I can tell, they each control exactly the same, and they all share a health bar, so there's no real point in switching aside from personal preference. Your only attack is this little pirouette that has absolutely no range. How did the M&Ms get the worst attacking move out of all the food mascots in video games? Yo-Noid got the yo-yo, which had some range, Cool Spot had crazy carbonated blasts, Chester Cheetah had the sick guitar solo attack, and the M&Ms gang does a little twisty twirl. Ultimately, there's not much to say about this one. It's not broken in any way, as it functions exactly as intended. It's just a generic platforming game. Next, we got M&M's Shell Shocked on the PlayStation 1. This is ostensibly a port of the very first M&M's game, M&M's The Lost Formula. The only difference is that Shell Shocked doesn't try to teach you math.
That's how it should be. I don't want video games to teach me math.
It's probably for the best. Video games should leave the math tutoring to Math Blaster.
Yeah, math is for losers.
Calculating optimal trajectory.
The premise of the game is that Yellow put the M&M's Minis in charge of the factory, and the Minis decided to destroy everything. Now Red has tasked Yellow with stopping the Minis from causing further destruction. To be honest, this game doesn't look all that bad. The cutscenes are pretty funny and actually feature the voice actors that played the M&Ms in the commercials.
There goes my partner. There goes my career.
These are actually some pretty well-crafted FMVs. Shell Shocked has a lot going for it. It might have a chance. This game doesn't look all that bad. Shell Shocked has a lot going for it.
Math is for losers.
They started off their platforming game with an on-rails segment? That's poor game design from the start. It teaches the player nothing about how the game's general controls are supposed to function. Not to mention that this isn't even a great on-rails segment. It's basically a memory test. Your goal is to avoid oncoming and upcoming traffic. Yeah, upcoming traffic, as in vehicles coming from behind you that you have no way of seeing. Who's gonna know to dodge that? Nobody! Not on their first attempt! How are you supposed to dodge something that's coming at you from off-screen before it hits? I know it looks like I'm playing poorly, but that's because the controls are so floaty. In a section that's about dodging obstacles, making your turn radius so wide and haphazard is a serious flaw. Plus, some of these obstacles are totally bullshit. Look at this part. There's a truck coming at you in the third lane, a rocky formation in the far left lane, and a car coming at you in the second lane. You can go down the fourth lane, but you won't be able to see your car if you do. And if you even tap on the tunnel side, then it's back to the checkpoint. Trying to drive your car through the space between the truck and the rocks with these floaty controls is like trying to throw a coin into a piggy bank while standing 10 feet away with someone that's violently shaking your arm. And if you manage to make it through the gap, there's a car coming at you immediately after that, meaning you have to make a sharp turn to avoid being hit. And again, sharp turns are really hard to do when your car's turn radius is barely better than the wagons that traveled the Oregon Trail. Did the game designers ever drive a car? Or play a video game? Did they not know that imprecise controls and one-hit deaths do not go well with each other?
Yeah, that's rule number 1.
Yep. This is all you need to start making video games.
Once you get to the factory, this is when the game's platforming comes in. It follows the style of Crash Bandicoot, meaning it's a third-person linear platformer. But where Crash Bandicoot was great and controlled really well, M&M's Shell-Shocked is a floaty mess. I think the floatiness is actually worse in these platforming segments. Your movements are so illogical, and these corridors are so narrow that it's hard to move around obstacles. Even in the wide open sections, it's difficult to navigate. Your only method of attack is the same pirouette from M&M's Mini Madness. And this game's pirouette is actually worse. You have to be walking into something while spinning in order to hit it. You can't just stand still. But the problem with that is that you're not spinning for a reasonable amount of time. So in the sections that have multiple enemies, you need to mash that button if you want to have a chance at killing them.
Oops. Uh-oh.
What the hell? I made that jump! Are you telling me I have to be precise with these controls, but whatever wants to kill me just has to enter the vague, rectangular prism of a hitbox that constitutes my character? That's this game in a nutshell. If it's not the controls, it's the hitbox. If it's not the hitbox, it's the useless attack. If it's not the useless attack, then it's the controls! It's a vicious cycle of crap!
Come on, let me try. It can't be that bad.
Oops. Uh-oh. Oops. Uh-oh. Oops. 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 Oops.
Alright. It's pretty bad. But you haven't shown me something completely evil.
Oh, you want something really evil? Well, strap in, because we're about to play some M&Ms games on the Nintendo Wii!
No.
Yes.
No!
Yes!
No!
Look, you're the one that wanted me to play these games, so make up your mind, asshole.
Oh yeah, I did.
The first of the M&M's games we'll be playing is M&M's Adventure. I wonder if this game will be an adventure game, like King's Quest. Nope, it's just another fucking 3D platformer! I will say that the game actually looks pretty nice. The graphics are vibrantly colorful, but the design on each character is nice and simple, kinda like how individual M&M's candies are plain but vivid. M&M's Adventure is a Banjo-Kazooie collectathon type 3D platformer, but just like the last comparison, that's where the similarities end. The game begins with red, yellow, and green are 3 playable characters. And is it just me, or do the voices sound a little off?
Okay, folks, I'll just set the alarms and we can get out of here. No telephones, no emergencies, no robot malfunctions, and no tennis talk from Miss Green for a whole week.
Billy West, is that you? Do you need a lozenge, or... They're getting ready for the holidays, when all of a sudden an alarm goes off, and, hey, could you possibly slow down the Comic Sans captions for a bit, game? Oh, so you're gonna try and dissuade me from playing your game by making it hard to read the captions? What a joke's on you, M&Ms. I don't know how to read. Outside of the graphics, this game is absolutely bland in every other category. The music is forgettable in every respect. Most of the sound effects are supremely annoying. And the gameplay. Oh, the gameplay. It's so agonizing, not because the gameplay is an awful experience in every respect, but because it's so close to being okay. It's so tantalizingly close. You move slightly on the slower side, just slow enough to make moving around and doing things frustrating, because you wish you could have some 3D Mario-style momentum. In a game about collecting stuff, being able to move around at a fair pace makes collecting things super fun. But in M&M's Adventure, you're just on a leisurely stroll throughout the game. I know it's a minor complaint, but it's one of a dozen small complaints that could have been avoided to make the game better. You know what else moves around slower than a snail trying to work its way around salt obstacles? The camera. It's so miserably slow. You press any direction on the D-pad to make the camera look around in that direction, but it's worthless in the midst of any kind of action. You can press the C trigger to whip the camera around to your back, and holding it makes the camera constantly try to follow your back, but that doesn't work very well with the setting of the game. The enclosed hallways and cramped interior of the M&M's factory isn't very friendly towards a freely moving camera that's constantly swinging back and forth. It's like a fight to get anything done in this game. I'm starting to get sick from the constant back and forth camera motion. Why do people still have this camera control scheme? It didn't work for Quest 64 or any other game that had that control scheme for that matter, so why does it still exist? The worst part about it is that its crappiness isn't immediately noticeable. It's only after you've been playing for a while that it starts to literally make you motion sick. It's like being flicked in the balls. It doesn't hurt right away, but if you give it a second, it'll hurt way worse than any dick kick you have ever received. That's right, this game is worse than balls. It's a disrespectful little flick to the balls. The first boss is Cupid, and I think I'm starting to understand why Billy West and everyone else didn't reprise their roles for this game.
Give me back my candies, you thief. You'll never escape from here as long as I'm in charge. Na 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 na, catch me if you can.
I can't believe this guy is a manager here.
I think Cupid's voice actor took all the budget.
Ouch! I'll box your ears.
So good. Who is that? Is that famous Nolan North knockoff Schmolin Schmorth? Here's the entire rest of the game. You beat Cupid, you unlock yellow, you do the same thing over and over until you unlock green, then you repeat the entire process until you beat the game. I hate to say it, but the Game Boy Color game is still the best one of the bunch. If M&M's Adventure wasn't enough for you, we got the 1-2 flick to the balls in the form of M&M's Beach Party.
That doesn't sound so bad. I mean, beach parties are fun. I hope to be invited to one someday.
Well, today might be your lucky day, because this game is apparently better with 2 or more people.
Really?
Yeah, man! As the name suggests, Beach Party is a minigame compilation similar to Mario Party. But much like the rest of the M&M's game's parallels with other popular franchises, that's where the similarities stop. Beach Party is literally just a compilation of minigames.
Let's at least play through the whole thing. Maybe some of the games are actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, they can't all be bad. Out of all 6 minigames?
6?
There's only 6?
You gotta be kidding me.
Mario Party had way more than just 6 minigames.
And it was on the N64.
Which was on a cartridge.
Which has way less memory than a CD.
Plus, there was more to Mario Party than just the minigames.
Like the encompassing board game setup.
With multiple boards.
With challenges on top of the minigames.
And features that ensured no 2 games would ever be exactly the same.
Like the different dice blocks.
And the randomized teams for each minigame.
I just don't see how the genre of party games can devolve from Mario Party to this piece of shit. You okay?
I need a bigger drink. Well, out of 6 minigames, hopefully one of them is good. Let's start off with kayaking, since out of all the available minigames, it's probably the one with the most difficult real-life equivalent activity. The instructions do not look promising. Hold upright and swing down while pointing upwards? I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how to play this one. I swear I'm doing all the right things and it's not responding to anything I do. It's not even like this feels remotely close to what you should do in a kayak.
Maybe they made the kayaking game difficult because real kayaking is difficult. Let's try something a little easier. Like Colornator. I mean, we're Texans. We should be good at this one. Because of our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah! Oh my god, this game is stupid. This is seriously fucking stupid. The entire point of Colornator is to blast as many M&Ms with your color paint as possible. Anything would have been better than this. It doesn't even have anything to do with the beach as far as I can tell. It's more of a carnival game. And if it's gonna be a carnival game, then just make everyone shoot targets, like the actual gun game you'd see at carnivals. It'd be a hell of a lot more fun than this. Now they say you're shooting paint, but from the way the game controls, I don't think this is as PG as the developers want you to believe.
I'm out of paint, how do I reload? Jack it off! Jack it off!
Volleyball. Because if we're gonna play a beach game, then let's actually play games about the beach. It sucks. Ring Toss. Another carnival game ripoff that has nothing to do with the beach. Oh, my bad. I didn't know that this would be the beach variation of Ring Toss. This one is way harder than it should be. Kinda like real Ring Toss. It's also incredibly frustrating because you'll miss way more than you think you should. Like real Ring Toss. Oh, come on! That was on! This game is rigged.
Kinda like real Ring Toss.
I guess I can't argue with the fact that this is the most realistic game of the bunch, purely by virtue of the fact that it's the same rigged game you'd play at an actual carnival. The one good thing I could say about it is that it feels really good to succeed, because you've beaten the rigged system. But, unlike real Ring Toss, you don't get a prize for succeeding. You only get the dawning realization of how much money you wasted on this fucking game.
Like real Ring Toss.
The next minigame is called Mr. Runch Slam. Mr. Runch Slam? Is that the guy who made this game? And by that I mean, is that the only human being that worked on this game at all? Because M&M's Beach Party was clearly made by one person during a 30-minute lunch break. Who the fuck is Mr. Runch Slam, and why does he get his own minigame? Is this just a simulation of a guy hanging out at the beach? Because that doesn't need to be a minigame. It's real life. I can hang out at the beach too. Look! This is just another bad carnival game. And of all the carnival game knockoffs in this compilation, this has to be the worst. It's adapted poorly, it plays poorly, and worst of all, it makes no sense. There are toys that serve the exact same purpose as this minigame that are infinitely more entertaining, and definitely more responsive. Seriously, I'm swinging this Wii remote faster than a construction worker whose project is due in an hour and he hasn't even started, and the game still isn't responding. You want to know what the most agonizing part of this entire game has been? There's a guy hang gliding in the background of the volleyball game. I want to do that. Why am I not allowed to do that? Instead, I gotta play this. Alright, last minigame. It's skee ball. How bad can it be? It's simpler than bowling, and if Wii Sports, the first Wii game, can get bowling right, then I'm sure skee-ball won't be so bad.
Dear God, what's it like being a fucking idiot?
Look, I know I just complained about how the only sea and sand in Mr. Runchslam was in the background, but I would kill for that right now. Because this is a game set in a room with beachy wallpaper.
It's about as far removed from the actual beach as you can get. I mean, come on. It's a video game. You're supposed to be able to do crazy things. I mean, this minigame is nothing like real skee-ball. Real skee-ball has themes, colors, lights. I mean, this is something you can create in your garage with cardboard cutout and paper scoring.
Yeah, this is the best and worst minigame of the bunch. It's the best because it's skee-ball, and you can't really screw up the basic premise of skee-ball, which is inherently entertaining.
But it is the worst, because it has all the flaws of the other minigames.
It has nothing to do with the beach.
It doesn't control well.
It's boring.
It's pointless. You can play real skee-ball for $1.
And it's rigged worse than any of the other minigames. Here's how you win at skee-ball. Just keep touching the 50-point ring without actually trying to make it in, and you'll score points. Seriously, look at this shit. It's more rigged than real carnival games. Imagine going up to the prize counter with all the tickets you'd win from this rigged skee-ball machine.
You have 58 million tickets. What can I get you?
I'll have all the Chinese finger traps.
Are you convinced yet? Don't you see how evil M&Ms are?
I'm still not completely convinced. Maybe if there's like one more tear. Oh my God! They said it was a myth. An old wives' tale to scare children.
This is no folk tale. In my hands, I hold the worst M&Ms game of them all. M&M's Kart Racing on Nintendo Wii.
The legends say it has no features, no weapons, no power-ups, it barely even turns on. Not even you would be stupid enough to play that game.
That's where you're wrong!
Alright, I believe you. M&Ms are definitely evil. At least we can put this chapter behind us.
No, it's not over yet.
Hey, can I help you?
Are you Mr. Runchslam?
Yeah? Who's asking?
Hey everybody, AsaiNeroTran here. We just filmed the last shot of this video that you just watched. If you really enjoyed the video, please hit that like button down below, or if you're on some future version of YouTube, click wherever it is. And if you really super enjoyed it and you want to stay up to date on the latest and greatest AsaiNeroTran videos, click this subscribe button right here. And if you want to see other stuff right now, there's 2 videos right here. And thanks a ton to my friend Matt, who, as you saw in the video, really brought his acting chops with it. Say hi, Matt. Thanks for watching. Also, you can buy AsaiNeroTran merchandise at redbubble.com/people/AsaiNeroTran/shop. Link is in the description below.